Chapter 26. Grayson woke the next morning to find out Jenna was not only a blanket hog, but a bed hog. The petite woman had claimed the entire king bed as her own, with limbs every which way, and him underneath it all. He wasn't complaining. After last night, he had nothing to complain about. He slid out of bed without kissing her as he wanted to, not for fear of waking her, but because he had no idea where her face was in the rioting tangle of hair. Still not complaining. He walked to the bathroom and briefly looked into the mirror before opening a drawer. He took out his shaving kit and dug out a small pair of scissors. He lifted it to his beard, pausing just a moment. It was time. When he said he would protect Jenna, he meant it in more ways than one. He was going to pay the realtor a little visit. A half an hour later, he was showered, shaved, and dressed. Jenna stirred in the bed, shifting a mound of blankets, her head poked out.
What time is it?
About 10, he said, adjusting his tie. He had forgotten how suffocating they were.
10?
Jenna squeaked, scurrying out of bed.
I have so much to do. Why didn't you wake me?
Her scrambling came to an abrupt halt as she stared blankly at Grayson.
Grayson?
She asked, her mouth rounding when he nodded.
You're wearing your beard. Your...
Mr. Miller, CEO?
Holy crap.
It wasn't the reaction he was expecting, but she was visibly astonished, and he liked that. I have to head out. I'll be back in an hour or so. Maybe 3 if it gets ugly. He smiled. At her puzzled expression, he shook his head. Guess it only works when Remy says it. Anyway, I'll be back soon.
Where are you going?
She asked, then slapped her hand over her mouth.
Not that I need to know where you're going, because I don't. I was just curious. You're wearing a suit. And your beard.
Jenna, relax. I'm heading over to the realtors.
No, you can't. I'll fix everything, I promise.
You can work on the business while I'm out. I'll make sure we don't lose the house.
At least let me come with you. I'll be ready in 10 minutes.
I'll probably be back in 10 minutes, he said, swooping down for a kiss. Plus, it'll take at least 10 minutes just to comb your hair. You look a mess. Her hand automatically rose to her hair, her fingers catching in the tangles.
Oh.
Grayson had a deep desire to bedevil her more or take her back to bed. He straightened, clearing his throat. I'll be back soon. If Jenna protested, he didn't hear her. He fled the house and made his way to the realtor's office, not concerned with their claim. He knew of a way to appease them and to take care of Jenna. His plan was simple. His plan was perfect. And 2 hours later, he walked out of the realtor's office, happy that everything worked out according to plan. It wasn't until he started the car engine that he wondered what the hell he had just done. He had just effectively removed himself from Jenna's life. Son of a... His head fell into his hands, smothering his curse. He could fix this. He had to fix this. But the only way to do it was if Jenna cooperated. If she didn't, he'd have to walk away. He'd leave like he always said he would. But if she cooperated... Grayson groaned and let his head fall back onto the headrest. There'd be no end to her little drill sergeant ways. He'd suffer through it. It wasn't as if he didn't enjoy their clashes. He loved them. He loved her. Now it was up to her.
Jenna couldn't stop smiling. She was being ridiculous, and her cheeks were beginning to hurt. Her fingers mindlessly tapped on the kitchen table as she sat in front of her laptop. It had slipped into sleep mode an hour ago, and yet here she sat, thinking of Grayson. She had been doing that a lot lately, thinking of Grayson. Her face heated as recent activities came to mind. She wasn't sure about this new Grayson with his tailored suit and his clean-shaven face. He was sexy. Cologne ad sexy, and way too handsome for the likes of her. She thought she had wanted to see that side of him, but now she just wanted her scruffy gardener back with his gruff ways and his piercing gray eyes. Why was he even bothering with her? Jenna pressed her lips together, not coming up with a single reason. She was nothing but problems. She could never repay him, not even by opening the business and staying profitable for 20 years. A noise in the backyard caught her attention. She peered out to find Frankie directing a large truck. What in the world? Jenna had a bad feeling. She raced out of the kitchen, slamming into Grayson, who seemed to be moving just as fast. Ricocheting off each other, they both fell to the floor.
Why were you running?
Frankie has a truck in the backyard. Why were you running?
I wasn't.
He said, slow to stand.
I was walking.
Your legs are too long. No one should be that fast while walking. Grayson smiled, reaching down to pluck Jenna off the floor. Thank you, she said, dusting herself off, although there wasn't a speck of dust to be found. I should go see what's happening outside.
Wait. I need to talk to you first.
Jenna heard the seriousness in his voice. She panicked. They didn't let you out of the contract, did they? Tears welled in her eyes. It happened. She finally killed her boss. Not with a weapon, but by bleeding his bank account dry.
Come and sit down,
He said, leading her to the great room. She shook her head. No good news comes when you're sitting down.
Jenna. I have good news.
Then why do I have to sit down? Grayson's response was to pick her up with his good arm and drop her on the couch. Jenna righted herself and crossed her arms. That was unnecessary. It was amazing how different he looked, yet still acted like a bear. It made her feel better.
Effective, nonetheless.
Grayson dragged a chair close to her. He sat down and pulled papers from his breast pocket. What are those?
These are the papers from the sale of the house.
You said you had good news. How is this good news?
Read it. You'll like it.
Jenna warily reached for the papers. She unfolded the pages and read Grayson's name as the seller. Her eyes scanned until the papers fell from her hand, cascading to the floor.
The house is yours, Jenna. All of it is yours.
How is this possible? Why would you do this? How am I going to pay for the mortgage? Grayson chuckled but sobered at Jenna's glare.
The house is paid for. You don't owe anything. And I did it for you and to appease the realtor. It worked out for everyone.
But not for you, Jenna said, tears sliding down her face and falling onto her shaking hands. You don't gain anything from this. You've lost everything. She shook her head. You can't do this. I'll transfer the house back to you.
I don't want the house, and I hardly lost everything. In fact, I gained the one thing I wanted this entire time.
What's that? She asked, wiping the tears that streamed down.
My freedom.
Jenna felt the air rushing from her. He had said he wanted to leave, and now he could. He carefully tied all the loose strings and could break free, taking her heart along with him. She loved him, and he was leaving. She didn't want the house or the business if he wasn't going to be there to enjoy it with her. He reached over and squeezed her hand before standing. Where are you going? Jenna asked. He wasn't going to leave right now, was he? Oh God, he was. He was leaving.
I'm starting my new life, Jenna,
he said, heading to the door. She followed in his wake, wanting to stop him, yet knowing she couldn't. How could she deny him the one thing he wanted while she took all that he had? If she couldn't pay him with currency, she'd pay him back with understanding and her heart. He'd already stolen that. Grayson opened the door and stepped outside, looking back at Jenna before he closed it. He was gone. He didn't even say goodbye. Suddenly, the house that used to comfort her now felt cold and empty. She shivered as a steady stream of tears blurred her vision. The doorbell rang. Confused, Jenna opened it to find Grayson standing on the step.
I heard you needed a landscaper,
he said with a shy smile.
I have some experience, but my last manager might say otherwise.
Jenna sniffled. I heard the manager didn't know what she was talking about, and you don't look like a gardener.
Just wait until you see me with a beard and covered in dirt.
Jenna laughed despite herself. What do you want, Grayson?
To begin my future.
You said that.
With you.
Jenna hiccuped.
I love you, Jenna,
he said, stepping inside. He wrapped his arms around her. She stood there, stunned. When her senses returned, she pushed him away. "You ass!" she snapped.
Jenna!
"I can't believe you did this to me. You spout your need for freedom and then come back and tell me you love me. Are you going to leave again tomorrow or the next? Maybe in a year when you're bored?"
I never wanted to leave.
He said, worry etched on his brow. "Then why did you give me the house?"
I don't care about the house. I care about you. And if you're going to be here, then I want to be here.
Jenna softened. From the worry spreading rapidly across his features, she knew Grayson was telling the truth. "I guess you can have the landscaping position, but there's a 90-day probation period,"
I think you'll like my work.
he said, closing the door. "I'll be the judge of that." He moved closer, crowding her. His arms ensnared her, pressing her to him. His eyes trapped hers in a gaze that made her skin alight with tingles. In that instant, the house became a home again. He made it a home just by being with her. The house itself was just a shell. It needed Grayson, just Grayson. But a thought nagged at her.
What's wrong?
He asked, the back of his hand caressing her cheek. She sighed. She would just ask and get it over with. That way she'd know for certain, and she'd never bring it up again. Never. Am I Nadia's replacement? Am I the rebound? Grayson's jaw clenched. His eyes turned to cold steel. Jenna broke free from his arms, backing away. She had her answer.
Don't go.
He said, his voice cracking.
Please don't go. I'm not angry with you. I'm angry with myself. I love you, Jenna. I love you so much that it feels like a part of me is missing when you're not at my side. I'm angry because somehow I failed. You should never have any doubts about my feelings for you. You're not a replacement or a rebound. You're Jenna. You're my life.
Jenna reached out, hugging him to her. His arms folded around her. She had her answer, and it was better than anything she could have hoped for. I love you too, she whispered. His lips found hers. They stood by the door, molded in their embrace until a series of coughing pulled them apart.
Does this mean I can have my old job back?
Jenna nodded.
And we'll have to sleep in the same room. For safety reasons, of course.
Jenna smiled and nodded. Of course.
Would you care to give me a tour? We could start on the second floor.
I'd love to. The coughing began again, this time with added hacks. Jenna and Grayson turned toward the noise to find 7 people grinning at them. Frankie, Mark, Maya, David, Mary, June, and Zoe all stood at the other end of the entryway near the patio door.
It's about time,
Frankie said.
The fountain is ready to be unveiled. Stop kissing and start walking.
Grayson slipped his hand into Jenna's.
This should be entertaining.
Jenna held back a sigh. She was much more interested in the entertainment on the second floor. They walked out to the patio overlooking the expansive yard that was marred by a fountain. With the round orbs at the bottom and the long shaft rising high into the sky, topped by a disco ball, it looked like a... Jenna gulped.
Just wait until you see it in action,
Mark said.
Behold, the beginning of anything goes landscaping.
Frankie connected the plug, springing the fountain to life. Disco music played, water squirted, and the ball spun, blinding everyone as the sunbeams bounced off the mirrors. Jenna turned her face into Grayson's chest and heard his laughter rumble through. You're fixing this, she said. As the new landscaper, I order you to fix this. His laughter continued.
I don't know. I kind of like it. It'll make a great conversation piece.
Don't make me fire you.
I'd like to see you try.
He answered, tugging her into the house.
Why don't we start with my first assignment? I promise you'll want to keep me around.
What assignment? His wicked grin answered her question. She didn't waste time following him upstairs. He kicked the bedroom door closed, capturing her in his arms.
Much better.
I can still hear the music.
I can fix that.
How? Grayson led her to the bathroom, closing the door behind them. The music was muffled. When he turned on the shower, the music was gone. All that was left was the man dressed in an expensive, tailored suit, looking more handsome than any man had the right to. He tugged at his tie. "Let me," she said, her hands replacing his. "I don't know when you'll wear a suit again." His hands covered hers.
I'd wear one every day if you asked me to.
Jenna smiled. "I don't think that will be necessary. I'm rather fond of soil-covered gardeners."
And do you know what's better than a soiled, covered gardener?
She shook her head.
Showering with him.
He pulled her into the water with him, clothes and all. "Grayson!" Jenna shrilled, her clothes plastering to her skin. "Your suit will be ruined!" He shrugged.
It's better this way. I'd hate to put the tailor out of business. Plus, your clothes are rather intriguing wet.
His eyes lingered before backing Jenna against the shower wall, his wet hair framing his eyes. He looked at her with such emotion that Jenna cast her eyes down. What she saw in his eyes was all for her. It was intense, it was wonderful, and it was scary because it was a reflection of hers.
I love you, Jenna.
He brushed a kiss against her lips. "I love you," she replied, feeling as though life was finally perfect. "I think it's time you got to work."
Yes, ma'am.
His wicked grin returned.
This has been The Last Tailored Suit, written by Nicolette Pierce. Digitally narrated with full cast of voices. Copyright 2015 by Nicolette Pierce. Production, copyright 2025 by Pierced Heart Publishing.